A Tsar murdered in his own bedchamber, by men he knew, by men he trusted. This isn't just regicide, it's a political earthquake. On the night of March 11th, 1801, Tsar Paul I, Emperor of all Russia, met a violent end within the walls of his own Mikhailovsky castle. His reign, though brief, was marked by an escalating paranoia and a profound unpopularity among the Russian nobility. He descended the throne in 1796 after the death of his mother, Catherine the Great, but his rule quickly became a stark contrast to her golden age. Paul's attempts to centralize power and curb aristocratic privileges were met with fierce resistance. He implemented stringent, often absurd, military regulations, punishing officers for minor infractions like wearing wrong buttons. His foreign policy was equally volatile, swinging from an anti-French alliance to suddenly embracing Napoleon, alienating his former allies, particularly Great Britain. This erratic behavior cultivated a climate of fear and resentment within the court. The Russian nobility, accustomed to influence and relative freedom, saw their privileges eroding daily. Whispers of his instability grew louder, fueled by his unpredictable temper and the very real threat he posed to their positions, even their lives. The fear was palpable. Russia itself seemed to teeter on the brink. Into this volatile atmosphere stepped the orchestrators of the coup. Chief among them was Count Peter von der Pahlen, the formidable military governor of St. Petersburg, a man of cold calculation. He recruited other disaffected aristocrats, including the ambitious Tubov brothers, Valerian and Platon, former favorites of Catherine the Great, whose influence Paul had diminished. But a deeper, international intrigue simmered beneath the surface. Paul's dramatic pivot in foreign policy wasn't merely a whim, it had profound geopolitical ramifications. His sudden rapprochement with Napoleonic France, after years of fighting against them, sent shockwaves through Europe. For Great Britain, Paul's new alliance threatened their naval dominance and vital trade routes. The Tsar's animosity towards Britain escalated rapidly. He placed an embargo on British goods, seizing their merchant ships in Russian ports. Most alarmingly, Paul began planning a joint Franco-Russian invasion of British India, a move that would have crippled the British Empire's wealth and prestige. Such an audacious plan gave Britain an undeniable motive for intervention, or at least for welcoming Paul's demise. The stage was set. On the night of March 11th, 1801, a detachment of drunken officers, led by Pahlen and General Levin August von Bennigsen, converged on Mikhailovsky Castle. The fortress, which Paul had designed himself, was intended to be impregnable, a sanctuary from his many perceived enemies. Yet, on this fateful night, its walls offered no protection. They found Paul in his bedchamber after easily overpowering the few guards. The conspirators, fueled by alcohol and desperation, demanded his abdication. Paul, initially defiant, attempted to reason with them, perhaps even to intimidate them, but these were men who had gone too far to turn back, their own lives forfeit if their plot failed. The confrontation quickly turned violent. Accounts differ on the precise details, but what is clear is that Paul resisted. He was reportedly struck with a sword hilt, then thrown to the floor. Finally, a silk scarf, or perhaps his own sash, was used to strangle him. The official cause of death would later be declared apoplexy, a convenient lie to shroud a brutal regicide. Upon hearing the news, Paul's son and heir, Grand Duke Alexander, was distraught, but undeniably complicit in the plot, though he reportedly insisted his father's life be spared. He ascended the throne as Alexander I, immediately announcing Paul's death by apoplectic stroke. The empire breathed a collective sigh of relief, though the shadow of the murder would haunt Alexander his entire reign. Alexander I quickly reversed many of his father's unpopular policies, reopening trade with Britain and restoring privileges to the nobility. The assassination of Paul I served as a stark warning to future Tsars: alienate the aristocracy at your peril. It solidified the notion that the monarch's power, though absolute in theory, was ultimately constrained by the will of the powerful elite. The British allegations remain potent. Was the British ambassador Charles Whitworth truly involved, perhaps providing financial support or simply turning a blind eye? The timing was certainly convenient for London. Paul's death averted a costly war and secured vital alliances against Napoleon. The truth, like so many secrets of power, remains veiled in the mists of history, a chilling reminder of the lengths men will go to for control. If you find intrigue in the dark corners of history, then join us next time as we explore another forgotten conspiracy.